Okay, let's dive in.
Let's do it.
We're doing a deep dive today into, well, quite a stack of sources you've shared, all focused on one big thing: how you can genuinely boost your English fluency.
Yeah, that's the goal.
So our mission here is, to cut through all the noise, pull out the really important insights.
Very practical stuff.
Exactly, the practical steps from this material that can actually help you make real progress fast.
Right. Because if you've felt a bit stuck, maybe stalled in your English journey.
Which happens a lot.
Oh, definitely. Or if you're just not sure, what daily actions really move the needle, these sources, they offer a pretty clear perspective.
And here's what jumped out at me right away. It's a core idea of running through basically all of this material.
Yeah.
Forget the marathon study sessions. Seriously. The key isn't cramming. It's small, consistent, daily actions.
That's it, precisely. This whole stack of sources really hammers home the power of habit.
Okay.
They use a great analogy, actually. Learning English is like building a muscle. You wouldn't go to the gym for, say, 8 hours straight once a month and expect to get strong, would you?
No, definitely not. You'd probably just injure yourself.
Exactly. You need that regular, consistent workout, little by little.
To build strength over time.
That's how it works.
Yeah.
And applying that to English, it's about training your language muscle every single day.
Okay, so it's more than just memorizing.
Oh, much more. What's fascinating, and the material mentions this, is the neurological side of it.
Ah, interesting.
These daily habits, they aren't just about learning rules off by heart. They're actively creating and strengthening neural pathways in your brain.
So hang on. Doing something in English every day, even something small, is literally rewiring your brain.
That's the core insight from these sources, yeah. It's making the language more automatic, more accessible over time.
Wow.
By making these actions habitual, you actually reduce the cognitive load. Your brain doesn't have to work so hard each time.
It starts to default to English more easily.
That seems to be the idea, making speaking and understanding feel, much more natural.
And the material you sent over, it's really quite insistent that this doesn't need hours and hours.
No, not at all.
Even just, 15 to 30 minutes a day?
Yeah.
But done right, done consistently,
yeah,
that's highlighted as being super effective.
It really is. According to these sources, it's not really about the length of the session. It's the regularity, that consistent stimulus.
The short daily rhythm beats infrequent long sessions.
That's the message. Far more powerful for building that fluency muscle.
Okay, so if these daily habits are the kind of secret weapon, what are the specific actions, the non-negotiables that these sources say we should be taking? They lay out several key ones.
They do.
What's habit number one? The big one.
Right. Across pretty much all the sources, the habit that comes up again and again as foundational, it's speaking English every single day.
Okay, and I can almost hear some listeners thinking, oh no.
Yeah.
That immediate anxiety kicks in.
Sure.
Making mistakes, sounding awkward, or just, who do I even talk to?
Totally understandable fears. They're common hurdles, and the sources definitely acknowledge them. But they're also very clear. Actively producing the language, speaking it daily, that's the fastest route to real fluency. It forces you to engage in real time, not just passively understand.
Right. It's one thing to know the grammar rule, quite another to actually use it when you're talking.
Exactly. The pressure helps.
So how do the sources suggest we actually do this daily speaking? Especially if, finding a conversation partner isn't easy right now. They had some practical tips, some maybe slightly unconventional ones.
They did, yeah. One technique that's mentioned a lot is simply talking to yourself.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Narrate your actions as you go about your day. Describe your plans for the evening out loud. Articulate your thoughts, your opinions. Just say them in English.
It sounds a bit strange, maybe.
A little, maybe. But it's totally judgment-free practice. It builds confidence. It builds speed.
I actually really like that. It's a clever workaround for the no partner problem. You're getting that active production time in.
Precisely. Another tip from the sources is, unsurprisingly, using technology.
Language apps.
Yep, language exchange apps like HelloTalk or Tandem. Connect with native speakers or other learners, even just for short bursts of conversation.
Right. Doesn't have to be a long chat.
No. And then there's this technique called shadowing. Did you see that?
Ah, yes. Shadowing. Explain that a bit.
Okay, so shadowing is where you listen to some native English audio, could be a podcast clip, a bit from a movie, anything really, and you speak along with it,
At the same time.
either simultaneously or just a fraction of a second behind. The key is trying to mimic everything, exactly the pronunciation, the rhythm, the intonation, how the words flow together.
Okay, I can see how that would help.
Yeah, the sources point out it's fantastic for training your mouth and your ears to the natural sound and flow of spoken English.
So, summing up this first big habit, the speaking daily, the message from these sources seems to be, don't wait for perfect conditions or perfect English.
Not at all.
Just start speaking. Even if it's just narrating making coffee to yourself, aim for progress, not perfection.
Couldn't have said it better. That's the essence of it.
Okay. So complementing that production side, what's the next crucial habit identified in the material?
Active listening. Every day.
Listening. Seems obvious, maybe, but the sources stress it's more than just letting the sound wash over you, right?
Oh, absolutely. It's about really engaging with what you're hearing, understanding the meaning, sure, but also paying close attention to the music of the language.
Music, you mean like?
Like the stress patterns, the rhythm, the intonation, how words kind of link together or get reduced in natural, fast speech.
Okay, so how do we make our listening active, according to these sources?
Well, they suggest choosing stuff you actually find interesting. Podcasts on your hobbies, music you like, TV shows, movies.
Makes sense, keeps you engaged.
Right. And then focus not just on what's being said, but how. One tip is to hit pause occasionally. Try repeating a tricky phrase or sentence out loud yourself. Get a feel for that natural rhythm.
Mimicking again.
Yeah. Another idea is using subtitles, but strategically. Maybe watch first with them, then try again without, to really push your ear to do the work.
That connection between active listening and improving your own speaking, it feels really direct.
It is. That's exactly the dual benefit highlighted in the sources. Sharpening your ear directly helps you produce more natural-sounding English when it's your turn to speak.
Okay, speaking daily, active listening daily, got it. What about building our word power? Vocabulary. The sources flag a really common mistake here, don't they?
They do. The material is pretty blunt about this one, simply memorizing long lists of isolated vocabulary words. It's just not very effective.
Uh-oh. Guilty as charged, probably.
Yeah. Most of us have been there. It often doesn't lead to vocabulary you can actually use when you need it.
So what's the better approach based on this material?
Learning vocabulary in context. That's the key phrase.
Meaning?
Meaning you encounter new words within sentences, you learn whole phrases or chunks of language together where possible, and crucially, you actively try to connect new words to your own life, your experiences, your interests. Make it relevant.
Like that example they used about cooking.
Exactly. If you love cooking, don't just learn random words. Focus on words and phrases related to food, ingredients, cooking methods, describing tastes.
And then use them.
Yes. Use them when you talk or write about cooking in English. That personal connection, according to the sources, makes the vocabulary stickier, much more memorable, and easier to retrieve later.
That feels like a much more natural and, frankly, more interesting way to learn words.
It generally is.
Okay, practical shift there. What's the next daily habit on the list from the sources?
Reading something in English daily.
Right, reading. Why is reading considered so vital for fluency? It's not just about finding new words, is it?
No, it's broader than that. These sources stress that reading is huge because it constantly exposes you to correct sentence structures.
Grammar in action.
Exactly. Grammatical patterns, different ways of expressing ideas, different writing styles. You sort of absorb grammar and natural phrasing more intuitively by seeing it used correctly over and over in different contexts.
A bit like how active listening helps with spoken patterns.
Very similar principle, yes. Input is key.
And what about for someone listening who feels maybe intimidated by reading in English or just starting out?
Yeah, good point. The sources definitely recommend starting simple. Don't feel you have to jump into, a dense novel straight away.
Okay.
Begin with easier stuff. Short online articles on topics you enjoy. Children's books can be great, or graded readers, books written specifically for language learners at different levels.
And then gradually level up.
Exactly. Work your way up gradually to more challenging things like news articles, blogs, maybe eventually those novels.
And there was a tip about what to do when you hit a word you don't know.
Right. Don't necessarily stop dead and look up every single word immediately.
Yeah.
That can kill the flow and enjoyment.
So what then?
Maybe highlight it or quickly jot it down, but try to keep reading. Use the context to guess the meaning first. You can review the words later.
Focus on the overall understanding and exposure first.
Precisely. It's about absorbing the language patterns as much as drilling specific words. Plus, reading really helps your writing too, by showing you how ideas are structured.
Okay, so we've got the core input and output. Speaking, listening, context-based vocab, reading. What's the fifth daily habit they recommend?
Writing regularly.
Writing. How does putting pen to paper or fingers to keyboard daily help with fluency, which is often thought of as speaking?
Well, writing is where you actively consolidate everything else you're learning. It forces you to actually produce the language.
Okay.
You have to consciously retrieve the vocabulary you've learned, use the grammar structures you've seen, build sentences, organize your thoughts coherently in English. It's a really critical step in moving from just understanding to being able to actively use the language.
So it cements the learning.
In a way, yes. It makes it more concrete.
What kind of writing do the sources suggest for daily practice? It doesn't have to be essays, right?
Oh, definitely not. They offer several really accessible ideas, like keeping a simple daily journal.
It's just about your day.
Yeah, write a few sentences about what you did, how you felt, maybe your plans for tomorrow, anything. Another idea is writing comments on English social media posts or joining online forums related to your interests.
Low stakes stuff.
Exactly. Or practicing writing short emails or messages, maybe to a language exchange partner if you have one.
And I'm guessing the same advice about perfectionism applies here. Don't worry too much about mistakes.
Absolutely. These sources are very consistent on that point. The goal is daily practice, daily production. Don't let the fear of making mistakes paralyze you. Just write. Write imperfectly every single day, and you will improve over time.
Okay, that's 5 really powerful habits. Speak, listen, vocab and context, read, write, all daily. What's the 6th one? I felt like it sort of supports all the others.
It does, yeah. The 6th habit is setting small, specific, achievable goals.
Why is setting goals listed as a habit itself?
Because, as the sources point out, it's absolutely crucial for keeping yourself motivated and for actually seeing that you're making progress.
Oh, okay.
Think about it. A vague goal like, I want to be fluent in English is just huge. It's overwhelming. Where do you even start?
Right. It's easy to feel lost.
Exactly. But specific goals like, okay, today I will spend 15 minutes talking to myself about my morning routine in English, or this week I will learn 3 new phrases related to my hobby and use them. Those are manageable.
You can actually tick them off a list.
Precisely. They provide clear wins. It breaks that big, daunting task of getting fluent down into achievable, bite-sized pieces.
Makes the whole process feel less intimidating.
Definitely. And the sources recommend actually tracking these small goals. Use a simple notebook, maybe an app checklist, whatever works for you.
And celebrate the wins.
Yes. Actively acknowledge when you hit those small goals. That positive reinforcement is really important for fueling the whole habit-building process. It makes that daily commitment feel rewarding, not just like another chore.
That ties everything together nicely.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have this powerful set of daily habits drawn from these sources. But, we all know building any new habit can be tough, sticking with it.
That's the real challenge sometimes, yeah.
What tips do the sources offer for staying motivated, for maintaining that consistency over the long haul?
They offer some very practical advice here. First off, make it fun.
Simple but effective.
Yeah. Choose listening material, reading topics, speaking subjects that you genuinely find interesting, things linked to your passions, your hobbies. Don't force yourself to grind through boring textbook exercises if you hate them.
Like the cooking example again, or finding a podcast about, gaming, if that's your thing.
Exactly. Tailor it to you. Also, scheduling specific times for your English practice can make a big difference.
Put it in the calendar.
Treat it like an important appointment, even if it's just 15 minutes. Blocking out that time makes you less likely to skip it when things get busy.
Good tip.
Joining online communities is another suggestion. Connecting with other learners, sharing goals and struggles, that can provide great support and accountability.
Makes you feel less alone in it.
Right. And perhaps the most powerful tip the sources mention is to regularly remind yourself why. Why did you start learning English in the first place? What's your deeper motivation? Keeping that why front and center is a huge anchor for consistency when things feel tough.
Connecting back to that purpose, that makes so much sense, especially when motivation dips.
It's a really key psychological trigger, and it all reinforces that core message that just kept emerging from this deep dive into the sources.
Which is?
Consistency beats intensity. Every time. A little bit of focused English practice every single day is exponentially more effective for building real, lasting fluency than trying to cram sporadically.
Wow. Okay, this deep dive into the source material you provided has really clarified things for me. Fluency isn't some magical, distant goal reached through sheer willpower or massive effort.
No, not according to this perspective.
It's the cumulative result of these small, smart daily actions. The material really does provide a clear roadmap, doesn't it?
It really does. It helps demystify the process, I think, and puts the power back in your hands through these actionable habits.
So, okay, here's the challenge then, directly from this deep dive for you listening right now. Based on everything we've unpacked from these sources, pick one habit. Just one. From the list we talked about: speaking, active listening, reading, writing, focused vocab, setting a tiny goal.
Just start with one.
Yes. Commit to doing just that one thing starting tomorrow, or even today.
Don't wait until you feel perfectly motivated or have the perfect plan figured out. Just take that first small action.
Start doing.
Exactly. The momentum, and often the motivation too, it builds from the action itself.
Absolutely. And as you consider that challenge, just take a moment to think about this. The incredible compounding effect of these small daily actions over time.
Yeah.
Imagine how literally rewiring your brain, just that little bit each day, consistently applying even one or two of these habits. How could that completely transform your relationship with the English language? Not just next week, but, in the months and years to come, something to really think about.